This is a tweet from Seattle Police showing, this is part of a larger tweet from Seattle Police. They say protesters began throwing rocks and bottles. 2 officers have been injured and taken to the hospital. King 5's Ted Land is live on Capitol Hill to continue our coverage tonight. Ted.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Well, Mark, just to set the scene right now, there's still a big crowd here on Capitol Hill at 11th and Pine in the distance there, where police are right on the other side of the line. There are several lights there illuminating the whole scene. The umbrellas that we've seen night after night mark the front line of the barricade where there are police. Police are getting on that loudspeaker every few minutes and telling people to respect the police line because that's what will allow them to stay here. And they're telling them, don't breach the police line and you can stay. If you're peaceful, you're allowed to stay. And they announced that to the crowd as a reminder of if things go wrong here, well, what could happen? And that's what happened earlier tonight, as you read that tweet from police explaining what happened when hundreds of people were in the street here, lining up shoulder to shoulder, and we started hearing some blasts from the police line where police said somebody had been throwing things at them and a couple officers had been injured, so they started using their techniques to clear out the crowd, those blasts and also pepper spray on the crowd to clear them away. We have some video of that showing what that looked like. A pretty chaotic scene as everybody rushed away and tried to get out of here, but there were so many people in the streets, they were not able to go very far. They managed to get about 3 blocks away in all directions. Police advanced on them on bikes. National Guard members moved in behind them to line the streets, and a lot of emotion in that crowd and a lot of passion, with people insisting that what they were here for were peaceful means and that they had a right to the streets. We talked to somebody who was right there at the front of the line who describes what happened when this all went out. With somebody who was pretty close to the line when all the action started. Can you tell me what happened to you?
Well, the line was pushing forward because that's what this protest is about. It's about to move through the city, to cause disruption, to bring attention to the police brutality that plagues this nation. And no one has room to move back in that front. We are densely compacted into there. And so when they tell us move 5 yards back or we're gonna shoot at you, we're gonna smoke bomb you, we're gonna throw tear grenades at you, there's no room to go. How is it fair that they do this to us? How is it fair that they shoot rubber bullets at us? This isn't right. This is fascism, plain and simple.
And so once people were pushed back, there was a standoff for several minutes and people stayed where they are, the police stayed where they are, and then everybody started inching their way back to where we are now, where everybody started. And now the crowd is a little bit smaller, but there remains hundreds of people here on the streets with their signs. Some people said, what happened earlier with the police trying to push them out of here, that added some energy, some momentum to the movement here and energized people to stay out here, and they started chanting, "We're not tired, we're not tired." That's the latest from here on Capitol Hill. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Ted, thank you. We're keeping an eye on social media tonight. Here's a tweet from Chase Burns. It says police made multiple warnings to push the crowd back from the barricade, have now ordered an issue to disperse. Now, we also talked with some people on the scene. Here's what one person had to say.
It looks like there's had to be something to do with moving the barricade when this happened, but
at 11th and Pine, there's that barricade.
Yeah, but again, there's absolutely no call for this. We're supposed to not be having tear gas. Couldn't even go 2 days. Absolutely ridiculous.
So far tonight, at least 3 city council members here in Seattle are calling out the mayor and the police response. Earlier today, Seattle City Council member Kshama Sawant sent out a tweet wanting Mayor Jenny Durkan to resign for her response to the protests. In a statement she released today, she says Mayor Durkan, quote, has repeatedly unleashed Seattle police to use ever-escalating violence against ordinary people protesting the police murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so many other black and brown people. We also heard tonight from Teresa Mosqueda and Council President Lorena Gonzalez, also criticizing the level of response from Seattle Police. Again, today, the Seattle Police Department has suspended its use of tear gas for at least 30 days. All 3 of Seattle's police oversight agencies, The Community Police Commission, the Office of Police Accountability, or OPA, and the Office of Inspector General all have recommended the department stop using tear gas indefinitely. This is all part of the city's ongoing negotiations with protesters. So let's go live right now. This is that line that Ted Land was talking about at 11th and Pine in Seattle. Just to the bottom side of the screen is heading east, and they're protecting the East Precinct at 12th and Pine. But you can see a massive crowd once again on Capitol Hill. Let's go back down on the ground to my colleague Ted Land. Ted.
Okay. I need to be able to hear the anchors. Okay, so I just want to show you something in the distance. There's a building in Seattle. It's a new hotel downtown where they've been lighting up the rooms in the shape of a heart since the pandemic started. And tonight it's changed. I don't know how well you can see that, but it says BLM. That hotel has spelled out BLM in the hotel rooms on the side of it, lighting it up. A very visible show of support for this movement all throughout the city. That's the backdrop for where we are tonight for this demonstration in the streets, where earlier today people crowded into the street here shoulder to shoulder, and police had pushed people back to Broadway there in the distance, but they've made it back to where they started out. And it looks like, you know, there's some people, a few more people arriving and leaving and coming back, maybe getting something to eat, getting something to drink. It's a very organized operation. They have food, water, supplies over here. There are someone here with a piece of the fence, pulling that through the street. I'm not sure if that came from the front lines, but that's what the barricade looks like that they're using to separate police from protesters. And so that's where things stand right now. It's peaceful, and police are remaining where they are, and the demonstrators are remaining where they are after a lot of action and some clashes a couple hours ago. But no one's gone home from that main group in the distance there at 11th and Pine, and they're now chanting, "Whose streets? Our streets. Whose streets? Our streets," while others kind of regroup after all of that excitement from earlier and try to decide what they're going to do next.